She revealed the hidden truth about the ring. His incredible reaction was life-changing for all. Sarah felt her heart race as she brushed dust off the old, ornate ring hidden in her grandmother's attic. It glimmered under the single bulb like a beacon of hope, whispering stories of resilience that echoed through generations. As she slipped it onto her finger, a rush of emotions swelled in her chest. This wasn't just jewelry. It was a reminder of everything her family had survived: the struggles of the Great Depression, the sacrifices made to ensure the next generation could rise above. "Mom, what is that?" Jake's voice broke through her reverie. There he stood, tall and lean, with ink-black hair that fell just above his thoughtful eyes. Sarah's teenage son, a brilliant student deserving of more than the hand life had dealt them. "It's your great-grandmother's ring," she replied, holding it out for him to see. The weight of its history felt heavy yet comforting. "She wore it through hard times, just like us." Jake studied it, his brow furrowing. "Can it help us, though? I mean, really?" His voice held a hint of skepticism, woven tightly with his dreams of college and a brighter future. The looming shadow of unpaid bills and daily struggles threatened to snuff out that flame of ambition. "Maybe not in a magical way," Sarah admitted, her voice softening, "but it reminds us that we're made of tough stuff. We've overcome so much." Tears threatened to spill as Sarah recalled the late nights spent at the diner, serving coffee and smiles, pouring her heart into every shift for the sake of her son's future. Suddenly, the moment shifted. Their neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, rushed into the house, panic etched on her face. Her husband had collapsed while mowing the lawn. Without thinking, Sarah gathered her things, her grandmother's ring still shining on her finger, and they rushed to help. In that frantic flurry, she witnessed what community really looked like. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As word spread through the neighborhood, residents began to gather, offering food, blankets, and support. It was then that Sarah knew the true power of unity. Inspired, she took a deep breath and walked to the podium at the town hall that evening, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. Trembling with nervous energy, she recounted her grandmother's story, how resilience had been their family legacy, but not everyone was moved. "Nostalgic nonsense," scoffed Mark, a wealthy newcomer who couldn't possibly comprehend the struggles of everyday life. His words stung like a slap, igniting a fire of doubt inside Sarah. Just when she felt she might collapse under the weight of rejection, Jake stood up defiantly. "That is not nonsense," he exclaimed. "It's who we are. We've fought and sacrificed. Don't let money dictate our worth." The room hushed, then began to buzz. For the first time, Sarah saw hope glimmer in the faces of her neighbors. As they rallied behind her, a fundraiser was quickly organized to assist struggling families united in their shared stories. Warmth filled her heart. Sarah glanced at Jake, pride swelling within her. They had sparked a movement, but questions lingered. Would they maintain this unity against the harsh reality of their differences? With her grandmother's ring gleaming brightly, Sarah knew this was just the beginning. The air buzzed with anticipation, leaving everyone wondering what the future held as they stood on the brink of change together. The next morning, Sarah woke up with the weight of expectation hanging above her. Her heart raced as she remembered the night before, how her words had ignited a fire in her community. But now, self-doubt seeped into her mind. What if it was just a fleeting spark? What if they couldn't maintain that momentum? Jake was already dressed and eating breakfast when Sarah joined him at the table. The smell of burnt toast wafted through the air. He looked up, searching her face. "You okay, Mom?" "Yeah, just thinking," she replied, unsure if she could shake off her concerns. "You know, you really made a difference yesterday. People were talking about how they want to help. I think it could work." His enthusiasm was infectious, the way he leaned forward, eyes shining with hope. "That's the thing, Jake," Sarah said quietly. "What if it's just talk? What if they don't follow through?" He paused, chewing thoughtfully. "We can't control how others act, but we can control what we do next. His words wrapped around Sarah like a warm blanket. She knew he was right, but it didn't stop anxiety from gnawing at her. They had no time to waste, though. By mid-morning, she was on the phone dialing neighbors, inviting them to a meeting at her house later that evening to brainstorm fundraising ideas. The response was overwhelming. One by one, familiar voices filled her ear with excitement. The idea that they could actually do something was enough to propel her through the day. As the sun dipped low in the sky, the house filled with a buzz of conversation. Neighbors bustled through her front door, bringing home-baked goods, smiles, and the unmistakable scent of camaraderie. Sarah's heart swelled as laughter bounced off the walls. A mix of old faces and new gathered in her living room, including Mrs. Thompson, who looked more at ease than Sarah had seen her in days. "We're all in this together," she said, her voice full of conviction. "Let us make sure everyone knows they're not alone in this fight." Ideas flew around like fireflies. Bake sales, car washes, community dinners. Each suggestion ignited fresh energy. Sarah beamed as she watched Jake animatedly discuss holding a talent show at school. But then, just as they were on the verge of unity, Mark, the wealthy newcomer, arrived uninvited. He slipped in with a smirk, leaning casually against the doorframe, his arms crossed. "So it seems you're still clinging to that old fairy tale?" His words dripped with condescension. "Excuse me?" Sarah managed, her heart sinking. "You really think this little community gathering will solve your problems?" "It's naive." He stepped forward, his presence casting a shadow over the room. The chatter faded, replaced by an uncomfortable silence. Sarah felt the air thicken, and uncertainty crept back in. How could they maintain strength in the face of adversity? Just as her stomach twisted into knots, Jake stood up again, determination radiating off him. "Maybe it is naive," he said, addressing Mark directly. "But it's our naivete, and it's our hope. Together, we can accomplish things that money can't." The room buzzed back to life. Murmurs of agreement filled the air as residents rallied around Jake. Mark's face darkened, but Sarah stood tall, her heart pounding with renewed strength. They had each other, and that was enough for now. As ideas clashed and formulated into plans, Sarah felt a shift within her. They were not just trying to survive, they were fighting to thrive. But questions lingered. Would they really be able to rise above the doubts and fears, especially with challenges like Mark navigating their lives? What would they need to sacrifice? The night ended on a high note, but Sarah couldn't help but feel the storm gathering on the horizon. Little did she know, their journey was far from over. Just as hope rekindled, whispers of betrayal began to creep into the fold. The following day, Sarah woke up determined to channel her newfound conviction into action. Her mind buzzed with strategy as she brewed coffee, the rich aroma pulling her into a plan. She couldn't afford to let doubt creep in again. She needed to talk to the neighbors, not just about fundraising, but about sustaining their spirit. By mid-morning, she had organized a workshop at the local community center. The chairs, arranged in a circle, invited free-flowing conversation. Jake bounced around, helping set up, his energy contagious. "This is going to be great, Mom," he said, bouncing on his toes, the excitement bubbling in him like a shaken can of soda. As people filtered in, conversations filled the space. Names were exchanged, ideas floated. Mrs. Thompson sat beside a newcomer with a kind smile, showing her the ropes of the community. Sarah absorbed the warmth around her, but there was a knot of anxiety that refused to untie. "Remember, we're here to build something together," she said as she stood before the group, taking a deep breath. "Let us talk about how we can extend this movement beyond just fundraising. It's about re-establishing connections." A few nods of affirmation came from the crowd, but as she scanned the faces, she saw Mark's smirk lingering at the back. It sent a shiver down her spine. She had hoped he'd tune out, but according to Jake, it seemed he thrived on disruption. "Building connections? That's cute," Mark interrupted, stepping forward with his characteristic swagger. "What do you think you can achieve with a bunch of homemade cookies and talent shows?" Instantly, the air grew thick with tension. Sarah's heart raced, her earlier confidence waning. But she felt Jake beside her, a silent reminder of the strength they had to show. "Mark," Sarah said firmly, meeting his gaze, "it's not about the cookies. It's about people believing in each other again. It's about unity." "Unity, huh? What a noble dream," he retorted, crossing his arms like a barrier. But at 1T pay the bills, and at 1T bring down the rent. Heads began to turn toward Sarah, waiting to see how she would respond to the challenge. In that moment, she realized this wasn't just about her anymore. This was about everyone in the room, about every family that had endured struggles and triumphs. Taking a deep breath, Sarah spoke with conviction. We may not have wealth or resources, but we have something much more powerful, a desire to uplift one another. Our stories, our connections, they are worth more than money can ever buy. The group erupted with murmurs of agreement. It was as if Sarah's words had cast a spell, awakening the unity that had been dormant for too long. Jake stood, raising his hand. We can start a community garden. We can grow our own food while we learn from each other. It'll make us stronger. Support poured in like a wave crashing against the shore. Ideas for garden designs bounced around the room, laughter intertwining with hope. Even Mrs. Thompson shared her experience with planting, her eyes lighting up with excitement. But in the corner, Mark's demeanor shifted. His self-assured grin faltered. And what if things go south? What if this collapses under pressure? A sudden silence descended. This time, however, it was Sarah's turn to stand firm. Then we get back up. We figure it out together. That's what family does. We don't just walk away when things get tough. The room erupted into applause, and Sarah felt a surge of warmth spread through her, melting away her anxiety. This was it. They were about to embark on something life-changing, starting from within. But a drip of concern still lingered in her heart. As the meeting wrapped up, Sarah felt exhausted yet invigorated. Conversations faded as people departed, leaving behind a promise of change. But as she closed the door, she spotted Mark lingering outside, a shadow of uncertainty across his face. What if, beneath that challenging exterior, there lurked a flicker of doubt? What if he wasn't as confident as he appeared? Maybe, just maybe, there was more at play than she realized. Determined to uncover this, she planned to confront him. The stakes had never felt higher, but neither had her hope. What could she learn from him? And would it twist their fledgling community dynamic in unexpected ways? Sarah took a deep breath as she stepped outside, the cool air biting at her cheeks. Mark leaned against the community center wall, arms crossed and head tilted, a facade of casual confidence. Yet, there was something about the way he avoided eye contact that intrigued her. "Mark," she said, her voice careful but steady, "can we talk?" His expression shifted slightly, a mixture of surprise and caution. "Talk? You want to talk to me?" He chuckled, but there was no real humor in it. "Yeah, I do," she continued. "I saw something in you today. I know you have doubts, just like the rest of us." Mark straightened, pushing off the wall. "Doubts? Who doesn't? But you really think I'm going to sit here and room for some community garden? Why not?" Sarah challenged, taking a small step forward. "What's really stopping you from joining us? Don't you want to be part of something bigger?" He flinched slightly at her words, and Sarah could see the uncertainty creeping back into his features. "Bigger? Sounds great on paper, but when reality hits," he trailed off, looking away as if trying to escape the truth she laid out. "Reality?" She pressed gently, searching his eyes. "Have you ever thought that maybe you're the one creating that reality? What if you used your energy to help build something positive?" Mark shifted his weight from one foot to another, a flicker of vulnerability dancing across his face. "It's just things always fall apart. I've seen it happen too many times. People try and then they walk away when things get tough. What makes you think it'll be any different this time?" His words echoed the fear she had felt just hours ago. But Sarah focused on the glimmer of hope in her heart. "Because I think people need this. They need connection. If you help, you're not just a spectator. You're part of it all. You get to shape this community, shape the reality you want." "Easy for you to say," he shot back, but his tone carried none of the venom it had earlier. Instead, it was laced with doubt, a quiet longing to connect amid the chaos. She took another bold step closer, willing to show him the truth. "Look, Mark, I get it. We all have our fears. But you know what? The moments when we feel most afraid are often when we're closest to growth. I believe we can create something beautiful here. It's not just about flowers and veggies. It's about each other." For the first time, he hesitated. The rigid confidence in his posture began to waver, and she caught a glimpse of a man who had been worn down by the world. Maybe I just don't want to be disappointed again," he admitted, almost inaudibly. The vulnerability in his admission shook her. Disappointment is part of life. But what happens if we don't try? We'll never know what could come from it. It might be something amazing. Mark stood silent, eyes searching hers as if weighing the truth of her words. Sarah felt connected to him, an unexpected bridge forming between their vastly different outlooks. In that moment, she realized this was not just about the garden, but about healing hidden wounds. What do you suggest? Mark finally asked, a flicker of interest igniting in his expression that a smile tugged at her lips. Let us work together on it. I want you to be a part of this. Together, we can build something that matters. As they stood there, an unexpected understanding brewed. But just when Sarah thought Mark might agree, the harsh sound of a phone ringing shattered the moment. It was a text from Jake, rapid fire like a storm. Mom, you need to come home. Right now? Something happened. Panic surged through her. What had her son stumbled into? Mark, hold on, she said, turning away, her heart pounding in her chest. She had pulled him closer, and now she didn't know if this new alliance could withstand the storm headed their way. What had Jake discovered that could change everything? And would it force Mark to step up or pull away? Sarah's heart raced as she dashed to her car, her mind swirling with dread and uncertainty. The urgency in Jake's text felt like a heavy weight on her chest, pulling her deeper into the unknown. She fumbled with her keys, her fingers trembling as she finally managed to unlock the door. As she drove, the streets blurred past her, each red stoplight an unwelcome pause, a reminder of the turmoil brewing in her gut. What could have happened? The questions crashed against her mind like waves against a rocky shore. She fought to hold on to the fragments of calm that Mark's words had sparked only moments ago. There was a time when she felt strong, invincible, but being a mother had made her vulnerability more pronounced. Each one of Jake's worries felt like a direct hit, and over the years, she'd learned to shield her heart from the turmoil, but now her instincts kicked in hard. Pulling into the driveway, she barely registered the sound of gravel crunching beneath her tires. The porch light flickered on and off as if warning her of the storm brewing inside the house. A quick glance at the living room window revealed Jake pacing back and forth, his face contorted in distress. "Mom," he yelled as she stepped inside, his voice breaking with urgency. The sight of him, his hands wringing together, lips pressed tight, sent chills racing down her spine. "You won't believe what I found." "What is it?" She rushed to him, each step amplifying her fear. The way his eyes darted around the room told her whatever he was about to say was significant. He held up a small, ornate box as if it contained the weight of the world. "I found this in the attic while looking for old toys. I think it belonged to Grandma." "But look," he said, opening it to reveal a silver ring, its surface gleaming intrusively under the kitchen lights. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. The ring was beautiful, but it brought back a flood of memories. Her grandmother had always warned her of its power, stories of love and loss tangled in every whisper. "Jake, don't touch it too much. We have to be careful with things that belong to her." "But you don't understand," he insisted, voice urgent. There's something strange about it. When I picked it up, it felt warm, like it was alive, like it was calling to me." She felt the room shift, the air thickening with something she could hardly name. "What do you mean alive? You shouldn't have," he cut her off, his excitement shining through the worry. "I don't know how to explain it, but I think it has a story, something important. Look at how it shines. It feels like it has energy." Sarah hesitated, caught between the protective instinct of a mother and the undeniable curiosity bubbling within her. "We should tell someone. Maybe there's a reason it ended up in the attic," she said slowly, knowing that whatever came next could change their lives. "No," Jake shouted, panic flashing in his eyes. "What if we find something out? What if it helps us understand Grandma better? Maybe there's more to her life than we thought." Sarah's mind raced as she considered her options. The roots of their family tree stretching far and wide. The walls of their lives were built on stories, but this was one story that could spark a fire, igniting possibilities she hadn't anticipated. As they stood there, both on the precipice of a revelation, the phone buzzed in her pocket. A text notification from Mark. "Hey, is everything okay? I'm worried." The world around her felt like it had shifted, not just for her and Jake, but for Mark, too. What would this mean for their discussions about the garden? For the connection she felt growing between them? "Jake, what if we invited Mark over? He could help us figure this out." "Are you sure?" he asked, uncertainty creeping back into his voice. I believe he could be part of this, part of our story, Sarah replied, her heart pounding for different reasons now. Life was about to take a turn she never saw coming. And as she glanced at that ring, she knew she had to uncover the truth lurking beneath. Generations of silence. What secrets did the ring hold? And would they help bring Mark closer or drive him away for good? The air crackled with tension as Sarah stared at Jake, his youthful energy colliding with her maternal instinct. She grasped the thought of inviting Mark like a lifeline, wondering if he could bring clarity to the chaos. Let us text him, she said, her heart heavy with the choice. The allure of the ring hummed between them, its secrets begging to be unfolded. Jake nodded eagerly, his enthusiasm contagious, and she felt a flicker of hope. Maybe this was the spark they needed to dive deeper into their family's history and bridge the gap between their lives and Mark's. She composed a quick message. Hey, can you come over? Jake found something interesting in the attic. We could really use your help. Just before hitting send, she hesitated, remembering the uncharted territory she was stepping into. What kind of discussion awaited them? As she sent it off, apprehension settled over her. The minutes felt infinitely long. What if he thinks we're crazy? She voiced, staring at Jake. But Jake's eyes shone with possibility. He won tea. Trust me, Mom. He'll love this. It's a piece of our family. If he understands my grandma, he'll understand us better too. Just then, the response pinged. On my way. A rush of relief washed over Sarah, easing some of her tension. She couldn't shake off the sense that this was the beginning of something significant, a journey they were about to embark on together. While waiting, Sarah and Jake fell silent. The weight of anticipation thick in the air, punctuated only by the occasional sound of footsteps from outside or the quiet hum of the refrigerator. Sarah's thoughts drifted to her grandmother, the woman who had woven tales filled with love, loss, and lessons into the fabric of her childhood. Do you think Grandma meant for us to find this? Jake's voice broke through, his question almost reverent. I think she wanted us to remember all parts of her story. The good and the bad, Sarah replied, memories flickering like shadows across her mind. But some stories, they come with risks. They can be beautiful, but also devastating. But we'll face it together, right? Jake said, stepping closer, his small hand wrapping around hers. That simple act of connection anchored Sarah, a reminder of enduring love even amidst uncertainty that a knock at the door pulled her from her thoughts. Jake shot her a look, excitement bubbling over as he rushed to open it. Mark, Jake greeted, his enthusiasm filling the room as he ushered Mark inside. The warmth of Mark's smile spread over to Sarah, and she felt her tension ease slightly. Hey, what is going on? Mark asked, eyebrows raised, his curiosity palpable. Look, Jake said, showing him the ring as if it were a precious jewel in a museum. I found this in Grandma's attic. We think it might have a story. Mark took the ring in his hands, inspecting it with an intrigued expression. Wow, this is beautiful. Do you know anything about it? Not really, Sarah admitted, the truth feeling heavy on her tongue. Just stories about its power. But nothing concrete. Mark's brow furrowed as he continued to examine the ring. It's got a history for sure. Do you want me to help you dig deeper? Would you? Jake asked, hope lighting up his eyes. Absolutely, Mark said, handing the ring back to Jake. But we need to be careful with what we uncover. Sometimes secrets are hidden for a reason. Jake nodded, his expression shifting to determination. Sarah felt a chill run through her. What had they really unlocked by summoning the past with this ring? Are you ready to journey into this? She asked, looking at both of them. With a unified nod, they plunged into the unknown, where family secrets mingled with the tantalizing echoes of the past. As they gathered in a circle around the kitchen table, the ring settled in the center, a silent witness to their determination. They were on the brink of an adventure that could alter everything they thought they knew. What revelations would unfold? Would they be the answers they yearned for, or something more daunting? Mark leaned forward, the kitchen light gleaming off the ring, making it twinkle like it held its own secrets. The air felt thick with anticipation as they each settled into their thoughts. This wasn't just any piece of jewelry. It was a connection to their past, a thread woven through generations. What if it belonged to someone famous? Like a hidden treasure? Jake exclaimed, his imagination ignited. Sarah couldn't help but smile at her son's youthful optimism. His energy was infectious, and she found herself wishing for an adventure worthy of a storybook. Or maybe it's tied to something darker, Mark added, his voice low. You said there were stories about its power. What exactly did Grandma say? Sarah took a deep breath, recalling the vague warnings that drifted through her childhood like whispers among family gatherings. She hinted at something about it bringing luck or trouble, but it was never clear, she said, her voice trailing off. Mark nodded, considering her words. Sometimes things are hidden for a reason. Maybe she was trying to protect you from it, from whatever it represents. As the weight of those words settled over them, Jake leaned in. But what if it's our chance to uncover our family history? We might learn something vital that connects us all. I want to know more about Grandma, about who she really was. Sarah's heart ached at the thought of all the stories untold and the struggles her grandmother might have faced. You're right, Jake. Our family has been through so much. Maybe this is how we heal. Understanding where we come from can shape who we are. Mark reached out, taking the ring from Jake's hand. Let us start with research. There's got to be something out there, some clue about its origins. He placed the ring gently back on the table, as if cradling a fragile piece of history. They all pulled out their devices, fingers flying over screens. Mark began typing while Jake scrolled through old family photos on his phone. Together, they retraced their family tree, looking for names, dates, and connections. Each moment spent unraveling the threads brought a mix of excitement and unease. This name, Mark said suddenly, pointing at a document. It's a relative I've never heard of before. A great-uncle? He lived during the Great Depression. Sarah squinted at the screen, trying to make sense of the faded memories. I never knew about him. Did you, Jake? Jake shook his head. No. What else do you find? Let me dig deeper, this might be a key. Mark's fingers danced over the search bar, and then he paused suddenly. His brow furrowed with intensity. Wait, their essay journal. He wrote it. An undeniable thrill surged through Sarah. A journal could hold answers, fragments of the life that seemed lost. But what if it contained heartbreaking secrets? The balance of hope and dread swung in her chest like a pendulum. Mark continued, his voice higher with excitement. It could be linked to the ring. We have to find it. Let us go. Jake clapped his hands, his spirit infectious. Sarah felt a rush, everything spiraling into a whirlwind of action. They formed a plan, but unease nagged at her. What if they were unearthing something better left buried? Are we ready for whatever we might find? She asked, a knot in her stomach. Jake squeezed her hand. Together, we can handle it. With a deep breath, Sarah nodded, embracing the urgency to discover their lineage as they headed out the door. A chilling thought struck, what if this journey transformed everything they believed about family? With determination burning bright, they set out toward the unknown, leaving a warm home behind, every step echoing the promise of revelations that could change their lives forever. And in that moment, they couldn't have predicted just how far down the rabbit hole they would go. What awaited them on the other side of this journey? What was the hidden truth waiting to be revealed? The sun dipped low as they drove towards the small town where Mark had found the journal's mention. Shadows grew longer as twilight settled in, wrapping the world in a serene cloak. But inside the car, excitement buzzed among them like static electricity, adding to their already heightened anticipation. Can you imagine if we find something incredible? Jake asked, bouncing in his seat. His face glowed with enthusiasm, blonde curls bouncing in rhythm with his heart. Just think of all the questions we've had, Sarah replied, glancing in the rearview mirror to catch Jake's eager smile. This could be our chance to unravel some of Grandma's mysteries. Mark kept his gaze fixed on the road, tension visible in the way his jaw tightened. Let us not get ahead of ourselves. This could lead us to places we never expected. Like where? Jake probed, his curiosity insatiable. Family secrets. Unanswered questions about decisions made long ago. He answered, the weight of his words heavy in the air that a shiver ran down Sarah's spine. Unexpected paths often hinted at both wonder and danger. As they approached the town center, the faded buildings stood like guardians of forgotten stories. Mark parked the car outside the old library, the faded sign swinging slightly in the breeze. This is it, he declared, stepping out with purpose. The library smelled of aged paper and dust. A comforting, yet eerie atmosphere enveloped them as they stepped inside. Their footsteps echoed in the near silence, sending shivers of anticipation through Sarah. Let us split up, Mark suggested. I'll check the archives, and you two can look for anything else. Sarah wandered towards a section labeled Local History, feeling her heartbeat quicken. As she ran her fingers along the spines of dusty books, her mind raced with thoughts of her grandmother and the life unknown. Jake skimmed through colorful family history books that filled a nearby shelf. Here, he called, waving a book excitedly. Look at this. Sarah joined him as he opened the book to a page with faint pictures and names. These are people I've never seen before. Look at the dates. How is this possible? Sometimes our stories are bigger than we think, Mark returned, a few old records cradled in his arms. He frowned as he pointed to one page, his voice dropping to a whisper. This great-uncle's journal, it talks about family feuds and some kind of dark legacy. Dark? Jake's eyes widened. Mark nodded seriously. It mentions a family heirloom that's dangerous, something resembling the ring. A lump formed in Sarah's throat. All this time, I thought it was just a pretty piece of jewelry, she said, disbelief swirling. What if Grandma's warnings had merit? The fabric of their lives felt thin, fraying at the edges. What if the adventures they sought would lead to shadows and hardship, far more than they anticipated? Should we keep reading? There could be more, Jake suggested, eyes gleaming with a mix of fear and excitement. Sarah looked from Mark to Jake. Are we ready for whatever this might reveal? Jake squeezed her hand, a flicker of defiance behind his fear. We have to know. It's the only way to find the truth. With every ounce of courage, they leaned closer to the pages worn with age, ready to face generational whispers that could either shatter or stitch back together their family's legacy. The revelations awaited were shrouded in mystery, and Sarah couldn't help but wonder what the truth might require them to confront. As Jake turned to the next page, the world seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the secrets to unveil themselves. The moment lingered, heavy with possibility and fear. What if they weren't just uncovering their family history, but instead embracing their fate? The words awaited them, and so did the unknown repercussions that could alter their lives forever. What awaited them as they turned the page? Would they emerge stronger, or would the truth threaten to tear them apart? As Jake carefully turned the page, the brittle paper crinkled, the sound slicing through the quiet atmosphere like a knife. Sarah leaned forward, her breath catching, anticipation coiling tightly in her chest. The new page was filled with dense handwriting, its ink darkened with age. It felt like a grave secret was about to be uncovered. It opened with a statement that made Sarah's heart race. The ring held power, but it demanded a price. What kind of power? Jake whispered, eyes darting across the lines. Mark's eyebrows knitted together, anxiety etched into his features. This is not just about family history. It seems to imply that the ring was more than an heirloom. It mentions rituals. Rituals? Sarah echoed, her voice trembling slightly. The word hung in the air, unsettling. What kind of rituals had their ancestors performed? The writing continued, detailing a series of events, gatherings that ended in conflict, shadows of dread spilling into family gatherings like an unforeseen storm. They tried to possess the ring's energy, leading to betrayal and loss. Many believed it cursed. A chill ran down Sarah's spine, the idea of curses dancing in her mind. She couldn't help but see their family's history as a winding road, each twist shadowed by the unknown. Could Grandma have known about this? Mark glanced at Sarah, his voice low. Maybe this is why she hid it. Could it be a burden she wanted to keep us from? Jake, still entranced, murmured, but why tell us anything at all? If it's dangerous, why not just let it remain buried? Maybe she thought we were ready, Mark suggested. Ready to face the truth, whatever it may be. Each heartbeat felt louder than the last, echoing through the stillness of the library. Sarah wanted to recoil from the fear rising within her, but found herself entranced by the words on the page. Their past was alive, and it was demanding to be acknowledged. The next section detailed confrontations among family members over the ring, accusations heated with emotions, and ultimately, silence. Those who sought it were marked forever. Only those willing to face the darkness could walk away whole. Marked? Jake whispered again, his brows drawn together, processing the implications. The soft sound echoed through the library, the creaking of the old building. It felt alive, as if the place itself breathed with their discoveries. Sarah's hands trembled slightly as she began to comprehend the weight of the knowledge unfolding before them. What if the ring did something to our family? What if it caused all the feuds? She wondered aloud. At this moment, Mark's expression brightened with a spark of clarity. We have to find out more about it. Maybe there's a way to break what's been set in motion all those years ago. The determination in his voice ignited something in Sarah's chest, a flicker of hope. But where do we start? The ring is gone, and everything we have is in fragments. Jake leaned in, his excitement bubbling once more. The journal and these records have to lead us somewhere. There's got to be more on the ring or the people who had it. They shared glances filled with resolve, ready to delve deeper into the past. The moment felt grand, heavy with the challenge ahead. They were standing at the precipice of discovery, and the pull was fierce. The shadows of previous lives intertwined with their own, merging histories they never understood. With a shared breath, they began flipping through the remnants of dusty pages, seeking answers that could either heal or haunt. What if we find the ring? Jake murmured, excitement thrumming in his voice. Imagine what that could mean for us. And what we risk by seeking it, Mark replied, voice steady yet taut with unspoken fears that as they dove into the next layer of records. Sarah felt a strange mixture of hope and dread blanket her surroundings. The course of their family's legacy was shifting beneath them, churning like a river's waters. Their descent into the unknown began. But what would they really want to discover? Would the truth be a key to freedom or a burden too heavy to carry? The library loomed around them, a vessel of history and slumbering ghosts, as they braced against the forces they had begun to unleash, ready to expose themselves to whatever mystery awaited. With every passing second, they were drawing ever closer to a destiny that could change everything or leave them irrevocably shattered. What awaited them on this journey, and would they ever be the same again? As Sarah, Jake, and Mark huddled over the worn journal pages, the weight of the family's past mingled with urgency. They leaned over the table, eager to decipher the next words that might flash light onto their family's shadowy history. With every flick of paper, they felt adrenaline rush through their veins. This was not just ancient lore, it was their legacy. Look here, Jake exclaimed, pointing at the crude sketch of what appeared to be the ring. It says there's a gathering, a final ceremony for those who dared to wield its power. Mark frowned, flipping the page, his fingers tracing the lines. It describes members of the family coming together, but it hints at betrayal and a choice that must be made, something about sacrifice. His voice quivered slightly, underscoring the notion that whatever they were to uncover would yield both light and dark. Sarah's heart raced. This ring, now so familiar, served as both a gift and a curse. Could that be why Grandma kept it hidden? Why she wanted to protect us from it? The thought filled her with dread, an ache of knowing that perhaps their lives had always danced around this ancient power without their understanding. Maybe, Mark agreed, his brow furrowing. But it could also mean that if we find the ring, we can reclaim its power, rewrite our family's narrative. Rewrite? Jake echoed, wide-eyed. What if that helps us understand Grandma better? Like we could break any chains that are holding us back? His hopeful tone cut through the tension, igniting a spark within Sarah. Feeling a surge of determination, she nodded. We have to find the ring. We need to know. It could help us reclaim our family's legacy. Let us look for any leads about the gathering, Mark urged, and together they dove deeper into the research, revealing snippets of family secrets, past grievances, and the ghosts that haunted their lineage. Hours flew by, punctuated only by shared glances, heavy breaths, and the occasional rustle of paper. Each passing moment left them more entangled in their family's complicated history. As darkness enveloped the town, a sudden realization washed over Sarah. What if this gathering is happening soon? The journal mentioned specific dates tied to events and anniversaries. She glanced at the calendar, a chill creeping up her spine. Why does that matter? Mark asked. What if it's now? This could be our chance. Jake interjected, enthusiasm radiating from him. We have to act fast. Racing against time, the trio quickly pieced together clues, linking them to places and names marked in the journal. They had to visit where it all began, the old family home, long abandoned, yet still holding the echoes of former lives. Determination locked their fates together as they hurried into the night, each heartbeat sinking with purpose. As they reached the decaying structure, Its silhouette loomed large against the night sky, a shrine of untold stories waiting to be unearthed. "Is this where the gathering happened?" Jake asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "It has to be," Sarah replied, the air singing with anticipation and fear. She could feel her heart in her throat as they creaked open the heavy door, revealing a dust-laden hall that seemed to inhale their presence. Sensing their connection to their lineage, they stepped inside, the scent of stagnant air mixing with lingering memories wrapping around them like a familiar embrace. Moonlight filtered through cracked windows, dancing across the walls as they began their search. Daniel's voice broke through as they perused the room. "Jake, look." He pointed to a dusty trunk half hidden under tattered blankets. Without hesitation, they raced to it, hearts pounding as Mark pulled it open. Inside lay remnants of their history, faded letters, old photographs, and lying at the bottom a small, velvet pouch. With shaking fingers, Sarah reached in and pulled out the ring, shining brightly in the dim light, pulsating with energy as if it were alive. The air crackled with magic and weight, and they all stared, breathless. "Are we really ready to do this?" "This is it," Mark said, eyes wide with astonishment and confusion. "Yes," Jake declared, conviction echoing in his voice. They understood this was not just an object. It was a journey into understanding their family's legacy and what it meant to reclaim their heritage. Taking a deep breath, Sarah slid the ring onto her finger. A wave coursed through her, a mix of warmth and history, whispered echoes of bravery pulsating in her veins. They were intertwined now, bound by a past that was ready to be healed. Together, Sarah whispered, capturing their gaze, grounding the moment. "We face whatever awaits us. This is our family. This is us." As they stood poised between the whispers of the past and the uncertainty of the future, the ring shimmered with promise, the dawn of a new beginning or a final test that would challenge everything they'd fought to build. Only together could they navigate whatever lay ahead, ready to reclaim their legacy and reshape their world. And as their hearts beat as one, they left the shadows of doubt behind them, daring to step forward into the transformative light of hope. This is the moment, friends. If you felt the magic in this chapter, you need to subscribe now to be part of our family and join us for more heartwarming stories and transformations. Hit that like button. Don't wait another second to help us grow. And we want to hear from you. Comment below your favorite feelings about this ending. Share this video with 5 friends who need to see this powerful journey. Remember, only true fans understand the importance of keeping our community thriving.